Update, Dyson fan helped me catch my wife's affair. I need to send letter of thanks. Hi, welcome to my channel. Today, we've got an updated story from our /surviving infidelity where Up gives the entire background of his relationship and what comes after the D-Day. This is the update of the story that was posted yesterday. If you haven't watched that video, I suggest you do before watching this update. Before we start, if you have any personal stories of how you got out of a toxic relationship with your cheating wife or girlfriend that you want to share, feel free to email them to me. Let's get started. Original story. So, I have received nearly 1,000 requests for some type of update or information on what's going on in my pain and hate-filled life. Per my new therapist, he said to go ahead and do it. It will help me recenter and focus. To those that kept saying that's not how SN app ch at WORKS, yes, you are correct, she had that running in the background. It was WhatsApp. I don't give a shit, I saw it. I again need to thank Dyson for their app and the kick-ass fan I got from my brother-in-law for Christmas. Here goes. I'm going to give a deeper background on our situation to help with some perspective on why I feel the way I do. My original post was pretty much a stream of consciousness and felt as disjointed as I did then. I went to college in Las Vegas in the mid-90s. I graduated in 1999. I had a blast there. I got around, fucked. It was during this formative time I decided to never marry. It was is an outdated concept that essentially removes your agency, and I did not want children. When I graduated with my degree in nursing, I quickly excelled in cardiovascular intensive care. I moved home to Texas in 2001 and pursued my master's degree to be an advanced practice RN/nurse practitioner with a specialization in CV surgery. While I was achieving this, I decided to pursue medical school and shifted coursework to fill in what I needed to apply. It was then that I met my SDBXW. She was a short, chubby, I believe the kids today would say thick, red-headed firecracker. We met in a code. It was intense, both the attraction and the dating. We were saying I love you within 3 months. She was a mother of 2, remember, wanted to be child-free, that had been divorced for about 2 years. She was just getting out of an on-again off-again relationship when we met. We dated for about 2 years and she slowly introduced her daughters to my age, 11,6. She sat me down one night and gave me a pretty heartfelt but pragmatic talk about us or where we were at the time, and what she needed/expected from me, or any other partner. Essentially she said it was time to either get married or move on. I was still pretty anti-marriage and she respected that. She was telling me this to give me a chance to think about us and what the future looked like. She had a pretty good point in that we were living together, 8 months, and even had each other as persons to notify in an emergency. She joked that all that was missing was having each other on our insurance. It was a good honest talk and we agreed that we would continue for a bit more, but I would ultimately have to make the decision. 2 weeks later, I had an acceptance letter to a medical school about 2 hours away. I was ecstatic and crushed at the same time. I had just had my 26th birthday and was about to accomplish a huge life goal. Then I realized I'd never see her or the girls. My self-doubt got the better of me. Being a medical student, then resident, with a fellowship was going to be a roughly 7-year process. All the while, I could not make the money or support the lifestyle we had grown accustomed to. I thought about the prospect of at least 7 years of loans, debt, and work, and losing her. So I declined and switched back to a master's in nursing administration. We got married in July of 2003. It was an intimate and personal ceremony with just immediate family and friends. While my parents adore the girls, rightly so, they have always been standoffish with SDBXW. On Monday when I told my parents what was happening, and that there was a real possibility the girls could stop being as prevalent in their life as they have been, they told me that they felt that SDBXW was damaged goods being married before and forcing me to compromise. That hit home, and to a certain extent, they were/are correct. After I graduated I didn't want to be a manager or director. I'm a hands-on guy that likes taking care of patients. The hospital I was at offered a certification in ECMO and a perfusionist credential. It was a highly competitive application, but I got in. For the past 11 years, I have been doing ECMO and all things related. I have had a blast and it has been challenging as well as heartbreaking at times. She wanted a more 9-to-5 job that did not involve patients or drama. She got on through a friend at a multi-state legal consultancy that specializes in medical legal suites. She abstracts data from patient charts and presents it in the manner requested. So that's the setup. On Saturday morning D-Day +2, I only slept a few hours. I had dark, disturbing thoughts regarding my future and life. I had, still do, thoughts and scenarios of death and violence upon them and myself. I was in the kitchen making breakfast, eggs, and toast when she walked into the kitchen still bleary-eyed. She asked if I would make her some. I threw it in the trash in front of her. I then proceeded to load up my record player and play music from my youth at an uncomfortable volume to prevent her from trying to talk to me. Real mature, I know. I began pain shopping big time, reading the printout in chronological order. I do and I don't recommend it. By the afternoon I was done with Black Flag and Danzig. I was listening to Torch/Breakup songs by Chris Isaak and Ray LaMontagne. She approached again. This time she was almost indignant, asking what purpose notifying the AP's wife served. I stared at her for what felt like an inappropriate amount of time, a bit dumbfounded. I told her point blank that at least she, AP's wife, would get the chance to make an informed decision about her future instead of compromising and sacrificing for someone that would betray them so selfishly. I guess my message to the AP's wife was received and things were not good for him. She sat down on the couch and began to tear up and sob. I told her I was crying out, or more correctly I was so numb that I will do that later when I am done doing what needs to be done. She asked timidly, all indignation/bravado gone from her voice, what else I had to do. I told her to ruin her life and give her the pain I have now. I told her that if she had any respect for me or love for me, she would open her phone and show me everything. She refused and said that it didn't matter and all I would do is hold it against her. I said, there was a part of me, the completionist in me, that wanted to know. She refused and went to the guest bedroom. I found her new hire paperwork from her company. They have a corporate compliance line and I called and left a detailed message. They, STBXW and AP, had discussed client information that also had protected health information with an unsecured, non-approved messaging system. I also informed them that she was his acting supervisor on 2 projects over a certain time that corresponds with the sexually inappropriate messages. Lastly, I said that they both used their subsidized phones to transmit pornographic materials, pics, sexting, videos. That was a big no-no as well. My whole life, I have viewed myself as a peaceful and rational man. This has broken that part of me. I don't know where all of this anger has come from. I am somewhat worried. Will it stop? I know in the long run, to get over this I will have to accept her apology and forgive her for her mistakes. I just don't know if I am capable, and it is worrying to me. That evening I continued to notify family and friends of the situation and her actions. I called a physician friend and requested a favor for a checkup and an STD check. He had questions, I answered. My eyes got heavy around 8. Sunday D-Day +3, I decided to drive to see the girls. They are about 3 hours away. The youngest is still in college for another semester, maybe longer, thanks 2020. I have been having pretty extreme feelings about them since this began. I have formed a respectful, friendly relationship with them, but not much of a fatherly one. The oldest especially. We are cordial, but there is always that "you're not my dad" vibe between us. The youngest, not so much, but when they are together, it gets more prevalent. I left early Sunday around 5 a.m., arrived at their condo, their father pays for it, just after 8:45. I had kolaches and good coffee for them. They were immediately worried about their mother before I said anything. I told them point blank the situation and that their mother would probably be moving in the next 3 to 6 months. I can honestly say it was best to do and say this in person. I told them everything. They were disappointed in her. I then told them that I wasn't there to get them to take a side, but they were adults in a special circumstance within our relationship, and if they decided they didn't want to interact or have a relationship with me, that was okay. I would be somewhat let down, but also relieved. I told them, however, that our relationship or lack thereof should not interfere with their grandparents, my parents. They both agreed that they would like to keep in touch with the grandparents. I left there around 11 and headed home. I stopped at my best friend's house and cried a little. I had essentially helped to raise them as best I could. Their father was absent most of their childhood and started another family 6 hours away. My best friend decided that I had drunk enough the past 72 hours, and I needed to sleep. I crashed at his place that night. I had noticed SDBXW had been blowing my phone up after I had left the girl's place. Oh well, I was too tired and in too dark a place to care. Monday D-Day +4, I arrived home around 8 and noticed her Porsche was still there. I thought for a moment that she Ubered or Wazed to the airport. No, she had not. She was up and had breakfast made. She asked me to sit down and eat with her. I did. She asked how it tasted. I told her like static. I told her I'd had a hard time tasting and feeling anything other than bitterness and anger for the past 5 days. She had called in sick at work and did not leave for her quarterly meeting. She tried to start talking about how worried she was for me and that she loved me so much. She had gotten a call from her oldest yesterday around noon and they were deeply disturbed by her behavior. I laughed. As I did it, I realized it was not a funny laugh. It had a manic kind of feel to it and took me aback. I said, "Oh, you love me so much you have a year and a half affair behind my back. You love me so much you fuck some other married man. You love me so much you pissed away nearly half of my life because." She had never given me a reason as to why she did it. I told her that, and it made it so much worse. I went to the liquor service and pulled out the bottle. The bottle was an 18-year Glenfiddich that my grandfather bought for us when we got married. It has been / was our tradition to have a small sip on our anniversary night and remember that things get better with time and patience. I chugged the remainder of it. It was about a third of the bottle that was left. I said, "Sorry I didn't offer her any, because she did not deserve any." I went to the bedroom and began pulling all of the pictures off of the wall that had us or her in them. I placed them on the kitchen table. She had left. My attorney, or rather her paralegal, called to notify me the petition for divorce was ready, and I needed to sign off on it before it could be filed and SDBXW would be served within 10 business days. I read it quickly, while very buzzed on premium scotch. Signed and pressed send. I also got a message from the AP's wife. She reluctantly thanked me for this horrible but good revelation. She declined to speak with me but wanted to message me to tell me. She found texts and videos with other women besides my SDBXW. She kicked him out and was going to an attorney soon. They live in California, he's fucked. I proceeded to listen to music and have a few more drinks. I fell asleep around 4 in the afternoon. I heard her come home around 10, she saw the pile of pictures and things that had at one time meant something to us. She began sobbing and asking me to talk to her. I only asked one question: why? She kept saying she didn't know. I called her vile things and said that she made so many decisions to get to just the first text. It was she that started it. I was pretty loose with my tongue due to being drunk. I laughed at her and started taking off my clothes and said, "You threw away this," pointing to my body. "I'm going to get shit for it, but I'm 6 feet 4 inches and weigh 200. Up until last week I still jogged and lifted weights 4 times a week, for some pot-bellied needle dick guy that wasn't going to do anything for her." I went to my room and had a shower. When I got out, she was in the bed naked. She had lit some candles and begged me to fuck her. I turned on my camera and told her to repeat what she said. "I thank everyone who mentioned doing this, just in case, for whatever reason, my erection did not do a good job of convincing her that I didn't want to. So, I did it. I was not kind. I put her in uncomfortable positions and pounded her. I told her I wanted anal, and I wanted to hear her beg me for it. I recorded it all. I felt so many mixed emotions after. I love her, and I am indifferent to her. I hate her, and I think nothing of her. I want her and feel like I need her, but it hurts me to think of us anymore." We fell asleep together. I woke up kind of hungover and had a hard time looking at myself in the mirror. Tuesday D-Day +5, therapy was a 2.5-hour session. Unbeknownst to me, she followed me there and wanted to know what I was doing. I told her I was getting some therapy for the emotional trauma I had after realizing I had thrown away most of my life on someone who couldn't even give me a reason as to why she would cheat on me. I was a little loud and teary-eyed. My soon-to-be new therapist saw most of the exchange. I called her horrible names and told her I wished her dead. Needless to say, my session was intense. He prescribed some sedatives for me and I had another shorter appointment scheduled on Thursday. We discussed my anger and betrayal, my emasculation, my fear of the future. I explained I am terrified of the unknown. Last week I felt like a complete man. I had a vision and goals. I also had a partner to deal with any issues and obstacles. Now, I am a ship without a rudder or mast. I feel no sense of direction or power or means to get away from this. He started explaining the why that I wanted to know. It isn't a single question. It is a series of questions that is pretty interesting. I suppose you can apply it to any behavior that you want to explain the motivation behind it. He said instead I should calmly ask my SDBXW, what within herself gave her permission to do this to me. There were several more to follow up with, but this is what stuck out the most. I told him about the sex. He recommended that I lay out explicit ground rules regarding our physical relationship. He ultimately recommended that I don't do it anymore. It would confuse and exacerbate things tremendously unless reconciliation was my goal. I cried, I raged. I left exhausted. SDBXW was still outside waiting for me. I walked past her and didn't respond to her questions and pleaded. I got a call from the physician's office to get tested and went to that appointment. I told him the short version. He recommended stopping drinking and taking the sedatives cautiously. I went home and proceeded to continue removing my things from the house and boxing them up. I have decided I would move out. I called work and requested a face-to-face meeting. The thought of working, or concentrating on legitimate life and death issues is not possible in my current state of mind. I drove to the administrative building at the hospital, met with the team, and formally gave my 6 weeks resignation. I have such a niche, specialized job that 6 weeks is kind of a minimum courtesy. I put it succinctly that my STBXW's actions had caused a stressful home life, and I would be a detriment to patients, the team, and myself if I continued to remain in this area. I have decided to move away. Far away. I got home after picking up some groceries. It has been about a week since I have had more than a mouthful of food and have existed on liquor and not much else. I took both my therapist's and physician friend's advice and decided to make some food and stop drinking. She was home, sitting in the darkened living room drinking wine. She had organized the pictures and was looking through them. She had put on makeup and was wearing a date night dress. She had been crying a lot. Her makeup was in bad shape. She got up and tried to embrace me. I pushed her gently away and made a production of pulling out my phone and hitting record. She started crying again. She told me the AP's wife had called her and told her that he had had other women as well as her. She said that she was so much the fool and every derogatory name I had called her was right. She begged me to consider us. I said why to bother, she didn't when she betrayed me. I told her I was sorry that her lies caught her out, but I felt that she was sorry she got caught, not remorseful for what she did to me. I told her I felt she was sorry that she was going to have to start over and that she was more upset about that than losing any love she had for me. I said that she abandoned her love for me or as 2 years ago when she decided to do this. I kept piling it on her. I informed her of my call to the corporate compliance line and the specific rules she broke. I didn't raise my voice or act angry. I was shaking a bit, but it was like everything was leaving me in a rush. I felt elated and so low at the same time. I felt empty when I was done. I put up the few groceries I had bought and made a small sandwich, then went to bed. She was there again. I pulled out my phone and told her with the recorder going what my therapist had talked about in regards to sex. Keep in mind in 17 years, I cannot recall a time when I've refused or declined sex from her. I asked her to leave and sleep in the guest bedroom. She refused. I said, fine, I would then. Wednesday D-Day +6, I woke up and she was curled up next to me. I removed myself and did some light exercises. I have been working on my resume and getting applications out. I might be working in Seattle by the end of the year. I love my parents and will miss being 20 minutes away from them, especially as they are becoming elderly. I can't stay in this city. The thought of running into her after this is over is not something I want to entertain. I want to be free and have no reminders of my sense of loss and my lifetime of compromise. It was a pretty blah day and it rained off and on for most of it. I met up with my best friend and gave him a rundown over an early dinner. We decided not to drink. My attorney said that my moving away will not affect the outcome of the financials. I am going to live off my PTO until the end of October and use half of our liquid savings to relocate and settle. I feel empty and I am trying to laugh at his funny jokes, but it's an effort. I keep finding myself in a deep emptiness that has such a powerful pull. I have never thought about ending my own life, but for the past few days/nights, I've had daydreams of what it would be like if I wasn't here. I am going to tell my therapist tomorrow. SDBXW has been going to the library, I've been watching through Google, and reading relationship books. I have been reading Chump Lady. It is great stuff. She got a call from her work. I eavesdropped on a small portion of it, but I know she has a meeting tomorrow, despite her claiming to be sick. She was in bed again just like the past few nights. I am so conflicted, I just want to feel something, but I feel so little but hate and resentment for her, that the only sex I want is sadistic. I'll admit that during the abusive sex we had Monday I felt almost a runner's high, but there was a crash, and the next day I was angry at myself. I am doubting myself a small amount in regards to not wanting her back. I know she fucked up huge, but I don't know if I can forget it, or forgive it. I am a tangled mess. I told her the ground rules, with my phone recording, regarding sex. I told her that it did not indicate reconciliation or some covert signal that I wanted that. I told her this is probably hysterical bonding and not healthy. I told her that I was going to not be gentle nor care about her feelings or needs during it. She was teary-eyed and nodded understanding. She quietly said that she deserved it. She then rolled over and got on all fours. Thursday D-Day +7, I woke up with her spooning me. I laid there for a while and heard her breathing change pattern. I could feel her looking at me. I asked with my back turned what her meeting was going to be about. She said it was an HR representative and it was probably going to be bad. I said yup. She asked what she could do to make us right or equal again. I said nothing. She offered an open marriage on my end. She would not pursue anyone, but I could. I chuckled. No. I don't trust her. She said that was fair. We had this conversation with my back to her. It was easier than looking at her. I get mad when I see her face. I asked what I did in this marriage that made her so unhappy she did this. She said I was beyond great. I chuckled again. Well, obviously that doesn't matter. She said it was an adventure like she lived off of the rush. She didn't realize until it was way too late that if she got caught or if something went wrong everyone would be hurt. She said it was a huge relief and an unforgettable pain when I confronted her. I got up and made breakfast. I went to my therapist and told him my plan with work and already had responses to my applications. I told him everything about SDBXW and the sex. We discussed my suicidal thoughts and talked about the process involved with them. Again, he wasn't judging, he just wanted me to not get confused, or if I did not understand to stop and process. It was only a 1 hour, 55-minute session and I felt that weird calm again. Like nothing matters for now. Everything just is. When I got home she was sitting in the living room. She told me that she was fired for breach of protocol with client information and violation of the data security protocols. I said, well, that's too bad. I exercised and made a nice dinner. She joined me. We didn't say much. While we were sitting in the living room she told me that AP had been fired as well. I said well. She told me she has had no contact with him in 5 days. Did I ask why not? They were both free now. She could fly out to her soulmate and have all the fun they wanted now. She said I was the only one she wanted. I said no, you had me all of me, and it still wasn't enough. I told her that in the nearly 20 years of work, and our relationship, I had been approached and hit on too many times to count. I managed to not fall in love or fuck anyone else. Now, I am so bitter and angry because of the compromises I made. She asked what compromises. I told her. My wanting to go to medical school but decided to get married and be stable, my not wanting children, but, because they were a part of her, I accepted them and compromised. I said I made those compromises for our love. But I had misplaced my trust and love in her. I told her that if I could go back in time, I would tell 26-year-old me to pass her up. She asked again what she could do to bring us back together. I told her that I will not ever compromise for her again, and it means we really can't have a healthy relationship. I told her I would never love her again, and that at best, I would treat her like a sex toy. Otherwise, she wouldn't factor into my plans or thoughts. I told her it was just a week ago. She was the first person I thought of when I woke up, and the last person I thought about when I went to sleep. Now it hurts too much to think about her. I am going to walk away from this. I feel like it is starting to constantly remind me of things. I cannot thank those kind people I could chat with and who shared their pain and stories that have helped me. This has been on a whole, a good thing for me to do, but I keep replaying things and feelings I'd rather just walk away from. I remain confused about what I want. I don't know if I will ever be 100% about anything with her ever again. I have bi-weekly appointments for the next 4 weeks with my therapist. Before we take a look at some replies by other Redditors, take a moment to like the video to show your support to the channel. Don't forget to leave your own opinion on the story in the comments down below. Now let's look at some comments. Tercer78 wrote, "That was a tough read. But ultimately, regardless of what happens, I hope you work as hard as you can to be as close to the person you were before this happened. It's clear that you're emotionally in so much turmoil and suffering and fully expected. Please keep up the therapy and avoid the destructive behaviors that are occurring, alcohol, not eating, and try to find peace. More than anything you need to find peace." Strawberry Kiss 2559 wrote, "My only worry is that the sex will lead to you finding your love for her again. I would steer clear of that. And I wouldn't let her stay there. But that's just me. I know it's hard to do those things, but I feel like you'll regret it if you don't." U/Lostboysgong wrote, "This update hurt. I read your original post but this was different. I related so much and your hurt is so raw. I'm truly sorry. Please try to take care of yourself and don't stop putting one foot in front of the other." Comet61 wrote, "Oh, how the destruction of trust turns reasonable people into vindictive, mean, ruthless souls. I am not blaming the op here. In many of us, this is a natural reaction. But it bears witness that when we trust someone and that trust is destroyed by that someone, we also get very angry at ourselves for being fooled. It's a horrible feeling. So much thrown away, so much destruction. Here, the consequences were harsh. This lets us see just how much trust bonds many things together and what happens when trust is nothing more than a pile of rubble. I do hope the op's anger subsides soon. Forgiveness may come in time to the WS, but first and foremost try to forgive yourself, for being played a fool. I really hope you find peace in all this. Matsta4 wrote. Damn man. The pain, drinking, sex, breakdowns hit close to home. Hope you're well. I'm 2.5 months removed and I'm starting to feel like a new version of myself. Keep active, eat right, read, journal, meditate, etc. Do what makes you happy and what will help you develop into a stronger individual. What do you think about all of this? Do you think would be able to recover from this? Let us know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. Hit the notification bell to make sure you never miss an upload.